Look at that, my son, my 4-year-old, is holding his breath in the water, in the ocean. How stoked am I? In this adventure, I head out to Bermuda, my wife's home country, and have a trip of a lifetime. The conditions were phenomenal, great visibility, minimal swell, minimal wind, so we killed it. I met up with my homie David. He took me out spearfishing multiple times. I did some amazing freediving on the beautiful reefs and the amazing corals. I even went out hook and line fishing. I never do that. That might be the first time on my channel. And we caught some fish too. I got my hands on a pole spear, speared some invasive lionfish. We did some wreck exploring. My homie Ryan, new homie, took me out. There he is right there, 20 meters on the top of a shipwreck. How awesome is that? I looked around for some sea glass, found some silver spoons. You can call that treasure. I'm gonna call it treasure. And Ryan got himself a grouper. I filmed it. It was awesome. Make sure you watch this video. Peace and love, everybody. Thanks for watching. How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to the channel. I'm here in Bermuda visiting family and friends that I've met along my journeys here in the past. And I'm here exploring the subtropical climate. Bermuda is a small little island in the Atlantic, just out of the Caribbean, but it's absolute paradise here, and spent a lot of good time with friends, family, and of course exploring the Atlantic Ocean. My Bermuda content never does as good as my Pacific Northwest stuff. My niche is in the PNW, let's be real. But every time I come here, if you're familiar, it's always windy, stormy. I think we get good weather this time. Look at those conditions. Not bad at all. The viz is looking awesome. Seeing some seaweed out there, but I'm pumped to get in the water and dive the, I guess you call it the breaker out there. Gonna go a bit deeper, but also be a bit tame. We're on the red eye, so bit tired, bit jet lagged, but at the same time way too excited not to get in the ocean. In case you're wondering, this is my setup. I get the Elite in power. This model is the Shark CX. This thing pumps out 8,000 lumens, which is insanity. And I got the Ace Pro too. I hooked it up to a tray. I got a selfie stick and a little ball joint setup. This thing is working real good. I can't spearfish here, minus lionfish if I grab a pole spear. But what I can do is film. So I'm gonna go full out and try to get as much awesome footage as I can, and maybe even provide some facts about the local marine life here, at least if I can dig up stuff. So I start my dives off with a familiar spot. This is Pokeoke. It is a private beach down from my wife's parents' place, the in-laws. It's a beautiful little secluded spot. When I go down to this beach, I'm often the only person in the water, and on the beach for that matter. I was seeing some seaweed, some sargassum, which I have not really seen much of in the past, but there was quite a bit here. I've been here in August, in May, in the winter. This is my first time visiting in July though. This spot is really magical, and it of course holds a special place in my heart. It's one of the first breakers that I was exploring on my journeys here, and you can just look around and see the crystal clear water. In Bermuda, I'm sure this is somewhere around a 7 when it comes to visibility, but for me it was a 10, and I was seeing these sergeant majors and other tropical reef fish. I don't push it too hard when I'm visiting abroad, unfamiliar water, and of course solo out here. But I find one of my favorite things to do is swim out as far as I can to the breakers, and that's where the water really drops off and I get some depth. But I spend a lot of time in 2 or 3 feet of water, looking down 40, 50 feet of water, and just look at all these parrotfish cleaning the reef, doing their job, and just enjoying what's in front of me, and also enjoying the fact that I don't have a 7mm wetsuit on. In BC, the water's cold. Somewhere around 9 degrees was my first dive back in BC. The water here in this dive was somewhere around 25, 26 degrees Celsius. So extremely warm from what I'm used to. And with a 7mm suit, feels like you're wearing a straitjacket. I was rocking a 2.5mm, and it was the polar opposite. It was extremely freeing. It felt like it was naked in comparison to what I'm normally dealing with. I do wear a wetsuit when I'm abroad for the thermal protection. Even in this warm water, if you're in it for long enough laying motionless, you will start to get a chill, but primarily just to protect me from the sunlight. I got a sunburn when I was here. On the days I didn't wear a wetsuit, I learned my lesson. I wear it to protect me from fire coral. I didn't have gloves. I did forget gloves on this trip, and I burnt my hands up a few times. And again, the Portuguese man-o-war that I hear are in these waters. I didn't see any, thankfully. I hear they're predominantly in the winter. I've also heard people tell me they're predominantly in the summer. So I can't get a solid answer on that one, but just erring on the side of caution, because I've been stung by one of those in the past, and the wetsuit does protect me. Down here I found some garbage. This right here is a glow stick from longliners way offshore, and all the trash just drifts into the coast here, which is really sad. You see a lot of microplastics and other trash, octopus traps, all the above here, which is a tragedy. On the second day, we went out to Sea Glass Beach. It's one of Jasmine and I's favorite spot on the island. She loves snorkeling, and she also loves collecting sea glass. It's one of those things me and her have in common, and what our relationship was founded on. We rented a yo-yo. It's a fancy electric vehicle. It has a two-seater, two-passenger side-by-side, air conditioning, and you're not allowed renting traditional vehicles on the island, but they do give the exception for these little electric motorized vehicles. The roads are narrow in Bermuda. You drive on the left-hand side, so you have to be really mindful and watch your P's and Q's on the road. And we are here, and we're the only people here, which is even better. Actually kind of surprising. Apparently there's 3 cruise ships in right now. But that's our little oasis. We're gonna branch out from there. Get in the water. It's a no wetsuit day. I'm going shallow, so I don't have to worry about one. And my wifey is joining me. You doing it, Jazz? Gonna kill it? We're gonna find some bottle stoppers and marbles, right?
Yes.
Marbles, like, guarantee. Sea glass snorkeling is what we came for, but I always take a moment to appreciate Mother Nature in front of me. There's a Bermuda chub. I forget what these little yellow guys are called. I know I said I was gonna research some of the species, but I got lazy. Hey, would you look at that? These are the West Indian top shells. These were endangered. Harvesting them is illegal. It's like a $10,000 fine, even if you just have these shell. Pretty crazy, so not worth the risk. Look at all the beach glass. This whole entire little pocket is the sum of everything I've collected in BC thus far. You know, as much as I love collecting sea glass here, like look at those marbles and bottle stoppers, it kind of ruins it for me back home. I walk around Point Roberts and I find the odd piece, and you know, I used to get really excited, but nowadays I'm like, meh. You know, I just leave it because I know what's out there. I'm not gonna lie, I still collect the glass on the beaches I do find, but a lot less than I used to, and not in as great of quantity. My goal is to find a fork. I found a fork and I found a spoon, a silver spoon. These are easily 100+ years old. The fort in this area is from like the 1700s. I'm guessing these are probably from the late 18 or early 1900s. There's all the top finds, black glass. My goal was to find a silver spoon, and there you go, a silver spoon. And to top it off, I found a silver fork. Lots of blue pieces, lots of blue. This is kind of a standout piece, orange, some transparency in there. What else? A couple marbles. This is probably the best marble right here. 2, I don't know if this is a stopper, maybe, but for sure 2 stoppers. White one, and a not so nice brown stopper. Some artillery from the camp that used to be there, the naval base. Look at all this stuff. Hard to see, but this one is a bit of a pink or purple color. I don't know what that says on the bottom. Can you all read that? I don't know. Oh yeah, this one's neat too. A couple dual color pieces. That was a good hunt, eh? Fun time? You enjoy it?
Yeah.
I know we rented the vehicle, but the convenience of Pokeoke just being right down from the in-laws is just so hard to beat. So I went out there again on the second day, and I felt more rejuvenated, more recharged, and I did some deeper drops. This one here, I'm pegging somewhere around 12 to 15 meters. I did not have a dive computer. Swimming through these swim-throughs by yourself obviously does carry some risk. I make sure that the swim-throughs are nice and open before I venture into them. I'm looking out for garbage, debris, fishing nets, and I also keep an eye for lionfish, which are in the area. I never want to go through a swim-through and find a lionfish in it and swim into it. I do have my wetsuit, but those venomous spines can easily go through a suit and then penetrate into my skin. You're not looking at any life-threatening injury, but it's still going to be very painful, and it's not something I want to experience. Bermuda chub are probably my favorite fish in Bermuda, just due to the fact they school and they swim around you. I still haven't yet decided, are they all mean mugging me? Are they rolling up as a posse and telling me to, hey, get out of our territory? Or is it more like, hey, look at this human, I want to interact with it and swim around it and have some fun? I'm going to go with the second option there, because I'm assuming they liked me and they were happy with my presence in their environment. I was using my Leighton CX Shark 8000 lumen dive torch here. You can see the lighting it offers. I just posted a review video for that torch on my channel, but the colors on the Reef are absolutely mind-blowing, like really phenomenal stuff. I'll be honest, I love the kelp in British Columbia, Canada. The kelp is hard to beat with schools of herring, but at the same time, all the reef fish in the coral is just a completely different atmosphere than I see typically where I dive. You saw the cloud in the background. There's a big thunderstorm and it was rolling my way. I get a bit paranoid, especially being out by yourself. I do get paranoid, and when I see a thunder cloud rolling in, I start making my way to shore just in case it passes overhead. And that's what I did here. I swam all the way out there to find out there was a thundercloud and swam back to the shallows, and by the time I got back in, I was a little bit lazy to go back out. This angelfish was so gorgeous. Such a cool looking creature with its fins, and it was looking at me curiously, or at least looking at the 8,000 lumens pumping out by my torch, hoping it didn't blind this guy. If he didn't like it, he would have turned around much sooner though. What's the game plan?
My fins came apart again.
The new fins are dope, but these stupid clips. I even brought a brand new set. Don't tighten them enough, they get loose and fall out. You over tighten them, then you strip the hardware, and then they come loose and fall out. Pain in the ass. But there's a dive shop here called Making Waves, and they are going to put in a new set for me. Obviously at an expense for you, technically. Yeah. Hopefully we don't run into any more issues. By the way, shout out to Diving Sports for hooking up all the equipment. Ashraf, the owner, gave Jasmine these fins. Super generous of him. They gave me all my gear, minus the dive torch by Leeton Power. They hooked that one up, and the camera Insta360. So thanks to all my sponsors. I don't know if I'm in the right spot or not. It's been a long time since mosquito. Don't get lost. I used the Insta360 Ace Pro 2 on this trip, and I have it in the housing and I have it on the dive mode. If it's in the dive mode, I have to take it out of the housing to get it off the dive mode. When I film above water in the dive mode, it makes the footage look all jittery, kind of wonky, but you get much better footage while you're in water, so it's a bit of a trade-off. I only brought my Ace Pro 2 with me. I didn't want to leave anything on the shore where it could walk away. This was a Apple Watch that I was trying to locate. My wife's parents were here with their family that were visiting from Alberta, and they were talking to some cruise ship passengers that had lost some torches, and they said I might be able to come out and look for them. I found this torch. This was the only operational one of the three. It wasn't locked and there was no contact information, so I gave it to Zai. He's so pumped to have his own computer, his own little smartwatch, I should call it. Yeah, he was so stoked. This watch unfortunately was broken too, but Jasmine's strap broke on her trip and she ended up putting that on her watch, so at least it got reused and the broken electric junk out of the ocean and into the trash. We've been dodging rain all day. There's some squalls going by us, but I think we found a dry patch and I don't have to worry about thunder and lightning while I'm in the water. The visibility isn't looking perfect, but when I was here before, I found some old bottles dating to the 1800s. We're at a fort. I found a, snuff bottle, which is snorting tobacco. That's not much of a thing anymore. Getting a late start to the day, but we're gonna make up for some lost time and hit up Dockyards for some food after this. I don't know if I was getting lucky, but as soon as I went in the water and looked in, we found a silver spoon, so this one too. Given the date of this fort, 1700s or so, I'm assuming it's quite old, and you can tell it's been beat up by the sea. I was finding new trash and old. The old stuff I wanted to keep, the new stuff I got out of the ocean, as much as I could for that matter. These bottles in BC, once upon a time I would have kept them. They're still dating 100 years old or so, but they weren't too fancy, so I left them. This right here was the bottom part of a cod bottle. They have the compressed lid and a bottle in it, and you'd puncture the bottle to break the seal to get a drink. I haven't found an intact one. If I lived here, I would have converted that one into a cup, cut the top off and polished it down. I wanted to look for bottles, but at the same time, the weather is being pretty cooperative on this trip, and I know I'm going to come here again probably around Christmas, and that's when the storms roll through, so I figured I might as well save the bottle searching in these protective coves for the winter. So Jasmine was waiting for me at the shore. I didn't want to make her wait in the hot weather longer than necessary, so I looked for bottles for a bit, didn't find anything cool, and focused my efforts from there on some of the amazing little creatures and called it a day. But look at this, it felt like an enchanted forest that I was diving through. So amazing. Oh, and before I got out, look at that, another silver spoon. This one was the coolest in the trip. This one looked real old, especially given the shape of it. No legible markings, but still an awesome find. think it's safe to say it is the calmest day out there yet. It is gorgeous. And the next day, I'm sure you're getting sick of pokeyoke. I could dive it one more time after this, so I'm not gonna lie to everybody here. But this time I decided to bring the Insta360 X4 out with me. This is not an infomercial, by the way. I know I've been name dropping all these different brands, but I'm just letting you know the equipment I'm using in case you're curious. The swim throughs with the X4 are hard to beat. I know the footage is distorted. Some people tell me they get a little bit dizzy when I post footage off this camera, but I did want to give you that third-person perspective of what it's like to dive in the reefs here, and I figured with this camera filming in 360, that was the best way to do so. I really like these shots. They're amazing, but I can see how people don't like them at the same time. My opinion might be a bit biased due to the fact that I'm the one looking at myself and I was there and I know exactly what it was like in real life. But swimming through these swim-throughs are endless. You go down one route and you find another and you want to take it and you're like, oh, do I have enough time to go through that one? And you push it, and you often do. Well, I guess always do, or I wouldn't be here right now. But I know it's risky, but at the same time, you live once. And I was thinking the other day, people hate on those who dive solo, but that same person most likely has a weight belt in the back of their vehicle. And do they secure that weight belt against movement? Probably not. And you're more likely to get in a vehicle accident going out to a dive spot than you are to shallow water blackout. So if you get in a vehicle accident and that weight belt goes flying, it's a projectile. Again, that has more of a probability of killing you than anything, but I'm rambling. These massive parrotfish were cool. It was a fun time. But later on in the day, Jasmine was keen on getting back in the water, so we went back to the Sea Glass Beach. I was getting very selective and just started looking for bottle tops and pottery, marbles, and other cool stuff. I found that bullet casing. Sayla got in the water with me. That's always a big stoke. She was really excited to see all the marine creatures. I wanted to night dive, but I didn't have anyone to night dive with, so I just enjoyed the beautiful full moon that was happening on our trip here. These family moments, I often include them in my video because I have external hard drives, but if I lose or break an external hard drive, all these memories of my kids growing up are going to be ghost. So I always include a bit of footage of my kids. I know some of my viewers do appreciate the family stuff, but at least I've preserved this content on my channel, assuming my channel never gets hacked, knock on wood. But the kids love it here. They can be children going in the pool every single day and finding this infinity pool down at the beach with them. They had a blast just watching the waves come in, and so did I. I'm a father, and I'm a proud father, and I really love my children. As promised, one more dive at Pokeyoke. I usually go to Spittle Pond, which is a nature reserve just up the road from Pokeyoke, and I swim back, but this time I decided to swim all the way to the nature reserve, Spittle Pond, and then make my way back. I didn't make my way all the way there, but I had a good time exploring, and I was doing some, I wouldn't call this one a swim through per se, but swimming underneath the breakers as the waves were crashing in. Very fun and highly recommended. I feel bad for the tourists that make their way into the water and they're snorkeling in like the first, 20 yards from the shoreline. The corals are often dead, and a small fraction of the beauty you see when you make your way out to the breakers. A lot of people don't have the same stamina and the same experience level that I do, but if they just went out another 80 yards to the outer breakers, they'd be seeing so much more life, so much more krill, and their experience would be so much more cool. I said coral and it sounded like cool. That was a triggerfish. I'm not sure what type of species. This right here is a cowfish or trunkfish. I think it's a cowfish. I forget, to be honest. But the colors on the coral were amazing, and these fish are hilarious with their lips. This swim through is gnar. I found the top of it, which was in about, I'd say about 5 meters of water. And then I dove down about 20 or so feet to the bottom. I guess the depth there was about probably 30 feet, but 20 feet away from it, I found the bottom. I want to do that swim through, but I definitely want a spotter while doing so. I found that one a few years back. I found it again, and I'm sure if I went out there with a competent diver, we could find it no problem. So if you're in Bermuda and you want to do that with me, and you're watching this video, feel free to drop a comment or shoot me a video on Instagram. Comment on Instagram, message on Instagram, there we go. I found my buddies, I think they're my buddies, the Bermuda chub, some of my favorite creatures, and The visibility on the previous day was not as good as it was on this day, so I was also taking advantage of the crystal clear viz. I'd say this one's probably more of an 8. In the wintertime, it gets to 100 to 200 foot visibility. I can't wait for those days. And here we go, my first excursion of the trip. David, y'all remember David, he's my homie. I've been diving with him in Bermuda now for 3 or 4 years. He invited me out on a fishing/diving trip. They have been having success with wahoo, with tuna, and they're trying to get their hands on a marlin as well. So they invited me out for some fishing, and of course I said yes and jumped on board. We were going to fish in the morning and then spearfish in the afternoon and do some wreck diving. Everywhere you go in Bermuda, you see some history. This right here is the world's smallest drawbridge. You can see a spot for the mast to squeeze through on boats. It's the longest running operational world's smallest drawbridge. I think that's the designation. They open it up once a year just to keep that title. We cruised out to the Challenger, which is a volcanic mountain adjacent to Bermuda, except it doesn't reach the top of the water. It's submerged down about 300 feet to the top, I believe, something along those lines. But it's surrounded by thousands of feet of water. We found this little fishing spot someone marked. Check this out. This is a flying fish. For people in Bermuda, it's an everyday thing. For me, I was like a crazy tourist, couldn't believe what I was seeing. You know, it'd been on my bucket list my whole entire life to see a flying fish, and that was the day. This is a lure that they use for catching marlin. There was a marlin competition while we were here. They had a grand prize of $1.8 million. There's a bunch of boats that chuck into a pot. I was asking if there was any publicity for it, but apparently not. $1.8 million when you're looking at, you know, a $3-4 million yachts multiplied by 30. Yeah, $1.8 million is operational cost for them. So pennies on the dollar. That's me fishing. Yeah, I do drop a hook and line from time to time. We were hand lining chum and trying to get some fish. We didn't have much success, but the guys caught a yellow tail snapper. I believe that's the species. It was very tasty. We split the fillets 4 ways. Thanks everybody for sharing with me. I enjoyed it.
Doing great.
They're doing great? Yeah. That makes one of us. Hey, now we got a fish on the boat. We got 2.
Best day ever.
Can you tell them to be quiet?
We got a couple of tuners. We had a blue marlin up here swimming around the boat a little while ago up in the chum. That was neat. And we got food for supper tonight, and everybody's happy.
Where's he?
Yeah, do you want to be like, what's your GPS coordinates? Look those up for a second.
I'm right on the northwest point. I started at
Northwest
point.
Oh, there you go. Of course, that was all jokes. I was having a blast. I was enjoying the company, the scenery, and it was really neat to see everybody's passion of fishing, how much they care for the environment, care about the fish they catch, and it was really interesting seeing the whole entire process. My buddy Forrest, y'all remember Forrest, I'm sure. He was like, you guys went fishing, really? He's like, there was a full moon last night. Apparently the fish feed all night, and the fishing is never really great after a full moon, so that's what we're gonna pin our lack of catch on. I got in the water though, of course. We saw some trash floating by with some triggerfish. There was one actually in that container. That's what drew our attention to it. When I came into the water, it had jumped out. I wish I got that on camera. I saw some barracuda. We speculated it was wahoo or barracuda eating those bonita that we were catching. Unfortunately, we didn't hook one, but yeah, they're slicing through them like nothing. We did some free diving, went down to 15 meters or so and called it a day. We saw a massive thundercloud over the island. I brought the camera out and of course didn't capture any lightning, but Murphy's Law. The day previous, we ran out of time to go spearfishing and wreck exploring, and Ryan was keen on diving too, so he invited me out on his boat, and we spent the day exploring a bunch of shipwrecks. And I was so super excited. The whole entire time I've been visiting Bermuda, I've just wanted to wreck dive, and it was finally happening. See bottom. Do you have a depth finder or a depth zone? Yeah. What depth are we at? 20 feet, yeah. So at least we got 23 feet of it. Hopefully more than that. The whole time cruising out, I could see bottom. My heart was like pumping through my throat. I was so pumped. First dive spot. First official boat dive shipwreck. Actually, what's that? There's that barge. Oh, Non-Such Island. Oh yeah. I don't know if that counts.
I count that as a shipwreck.
Yeah, you do, yeah? Yeah, it's pretty shallow. First freediving shipwreck. And apparently the viz is not good, but I can see the bottom at 40 feet. 48 feet, 50 feet, 53 feet. So we at least got 53 foot viz. I think that's awesome. Oh, back down to 42. They do a pretty good job of marking the wrecks in Bermuda. You just tie up to a float that's vacant. It's pretty popular scuba diving, so you got to find one that is available and, you know, tie up. Some of them are marked, some of them aren't. And you attach your line and jump in and explore. We didn't really know what we were about to see. I didn't have that shipwreck little dive map with me, but Bermuda is one of the shipwreck capitals of the world. I believe shipwreck capital of the Atlantic. I could be wrong, but I think the capital is in Vietnam or something like that. But there's shipwrecks left, right, and center, and they date back to the 1600s. That's how Bermuda was founded by mistake, I believe, and people would try to navigate in through the reefs and they would crash, and then wild boar went all over the island. And there's so much history here, which is amazing. Everywhere you go, you're seeing history, and that includes below the surface. A lot of the wrecks, though, around Bermuda have suffered the effects of years of hurricanes, salt water. It's pretty funny. People explore these wrecks, and a hurricane comes by, and it tosses wrecks upside down, and they're finding new artifacts, bottles of rum, treasure for that matter, and old cannons. This right here is really cool. These wrecks, you are not allowed to fish anywhere near them. I believe it's a 300 or 600 meter buffer, something along those lines. No spearfishing around shipwrecks, no hand harvesting, and no angling as well. So they do restrict angling, not as much as spearfishing, but they do restrict angling on the island to a certain extent. Species size, restrictions, etc. But this wreck was really cool. There was two actually side by side. We dove the first one, and then we made a small swim over to the second, which were maybe 50 or 100 yards apart, roughly. Now, the visibility, he told me it wasn't the greatest. You can see him down at the bottom. The sand was 65 feet, so just under 20 meters. Ryan wanted to get a shot sitting on the shipwreck. I'm so happy I got this clip for him because it turned out pretty great. I'm a bit jealous. I wish just that was me out there. I should have had him get the picture of me. But it looks awesome, and I hope he was happy with this clip. 2 shipwrecks down, and 1 more to go, right? 1 more. And then he's gonna spear some fish. I'll film him do so. Maybe bring back a snapper for dinner. Or what else? Whatever else there is down there. And we kept rolling to the next dive spot. And honestly, all we had to do was anchor and jump in the water, and we would have been at our next dive spot because they're all over the place. It is a bit different than the Pacific Northwest. The corals versus the kelp, you know, it's just a completely different atmosphere. I can see, I can't say it would get boring, no, that's a lie, but you do see the same fish everywhere you go, and the big game fish get hunted, so you don't see them as often. I wish I did lay some eyes on some giant grouper, black grouper, or Goliath grouper, which apparently they have here. I could be wrong on that. I think they do have them here. Anyways, regardless, these wrecks are hard to beat. This was an old steamship, an old paddle wheel. It didn't look that big at first, but when you swim around the whole entire thing, it was absolutely gargantuan. I'm thinking 100 plus feet, which is huge even nowadays. But this paddle wheel ship, I wish I got some history on it, but would easily be over 100 plus years old. And you can just see the corals taking over this whole entire wreck. This wreck eventually will disintegrate and the coral will go with it. But you can see how quickly, if given the chance, the corals will come back. And Bermuda stays a bit cooler. Bermuda is not immune to bleaching. Coral bleaching has happened here, but thankfully it's more protected than other parts of the world. We do have the Hermes. This is one of the most popular wrecks to dive in Bermuda, and this one was a bit deeper as well. I don't think we did a depth check, but I'm thinking the bottom was somewhere around 20 meters as well. Diving 20 meters recreationally in Bermuda is much different than in BC, because in BC we have all the neoprene that affects our ability to inhale. I'm nice and relaxed, nice and warm, and I can get a full inhale when I'm visiting here. My equalizations were a bit sticky. I ended up getting some sinus pain the days following this dive. Nothing too crazy, but I was having some equalization issues at the beginning of the day. I was a bit scared that I wasn't going to be able to actually do some diving deep, but thankfully my ear cooperated for the rest of the day. You can see all these snapper. These are really good eating. I've yet to try them. They're easy to spear when you're filming, but if I had a gun, they'd all be jittery and skittish and going away from me. That's what I've been told, and that's typically the way it is. I think fish can sense your demeanor. They probably pick up on cues that we're oblivious to, but they realize when we're in hunting mode versus recreational filming mode. We were only gonna hit up a few spots, but we kept cruising and we wanted to dive a couple more. Our goal for the next spot was to look for a bomber. It was taken off in Bermuda in the 1930s. Don't quote me on that. I believe it was the 1930s. And it ended up crashing, engine malfunction, and went into the Atlantic. Wasn't found 2 years later, but the bomber is actually a grave site. There was, I believe, 2 or 3 fatalities. We didn't find it though on the first attempt. We found a float, a mooring. It wasn't marked. Ended up being a shipwreck, and I do not know the history of it, but I do know it was gorgeous. I do know it looked old, and I do know it was covered in coral, and the visibility wasn't the greatest in comparison to the other spots, but it was still really fun to visit and had no regrets whatsoever. This was the bow. You can see it's all crusted in brain coral, and I'm not even going to pretend to know what type of species I'm looking at. I'm a PNW diver, and we have the glass sponge corals, but I've never seen those through deep. We don't have corals too much in British Columbia, none that I see on a regular. But yeah, we didn't find the bomber, so we were pretty stuck on seeing it. It is disintegrating. It's nowhere near its prime or what it used to be after all the years of hurricanes, but we did find it. So we dove down. It wasn't that deep. You can see the wreckage scattered all along the bottom. Interesting fact, this is the same type of bomber that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. I forget the model of the airplane, but it's the same type of aircraft. Not the exact same airplane, but same type of aircraft. So some history here, and also a memorial. So you got to respect the fallen soldiers that lost their lives, and you know, they were out there during World War I, keeping all of us safe. So kudos to all those veterans out there. This is really neat to see. Even all the piping and twisted metal. You can see the shape of an airplane from a distance. I think it had four engines, something along those lines. You can see the propellers. I'm surprised after all the years people haven't taken these home and stolen them. I know in BC, the airplane that crashed into Fino, it's just a few pieces of metal left because all the hikers have taken bits of it home. Where are we going now? Spearfishing time?
Spearfishing out west.
Yeah.
Hopefully we catch something.
Oh, we will, man, we will. And if not, we caught some footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If not, we'll look at some more reef.
There we go, there we go. It'll be fun.
It's looking good.
Yeah, dude. It's a hogfish territory. I know a lot of my viewers, not all of them, but a large percentage of my viewers are just sticking around for the spearfishing content, so this bit's for you. I love spearfishing, I love harvesting my own food, but I only spearfish if I have to. And here, I'm very limited to what I'm allowed to spear. But Ryan gave me the pole. I went down there and targeted some lionfish, which are invasive. I got this one here, a stone shot, right in the head. I domed it, stoned it, domed it, whatever you want to call it. These things are venomous though, so I try to keep a distance from it, and I hand it off to Ryan. He can do the dirty work for me. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, man. He's got more experience than I do. He knows where to grab and where not to. I didn't have gloves. I forgot them on this trip. Even if I did, they would have been 2 mils, not Kevlar bottom gloves that are 5 mil and offering much more protection. This is a substantial size one. It was pretty big, and of course it had a bunch of reef fish in its stomach. While we were bringing the fish back to the boat though, I spotted a red hind, a grouper, staring up at me from the depths. I swam down and it looked like a decent size, so I called Ryan over and he's like, yeah, hell yeah, man, let's get it. So he swam down. I filmed him spear it with a pole spear. We use a slip tip. He used a slip tip and grabbed the fish, no problem whatsoever. It was a good size one, and he shared that fillet 50-50, so yeah, teamwork, man. Red hawk. That's beautiful, dude. Nice fish. I got some lionfish, some yellow eye snapper, and some red hind. We made fish tacos. Oh, there's a catch. We got a grouper. What type of grouper again?
Red hind.
Red hind grouper. Fatty. And a good sized lionfish too. That's awesome. Good time out there. Man, we're exhausted. What time is it right now? Probably like 3 something, 3:30. What time did we start? 10? 10. Yeah, it's been a long day. What, 6 shipwrecks and some spearfishing. I think that'll do it to you. And bouncing around in the waves too.
Sleep well tonight.
Oh yeah, sleep well. All right, thanks, man. You're one of those. Thanks again. That's awesome. Where are we, say?
We're at the beach.
And what are we gonna do?
We're probably gonna dive and play.
Are we? How about you, buddy? Where are we right now?
Bermuda!
We we are. And then what are we gonna do right now?
I'm about for sea glass.
Now, no joke, these moments mean the most to me. Going in the water with my kids. I threw a mask and snorkel on Sayla and Zion, brought them to Cooper's Island Nature Reserve, and they did some snorkeling. They were killing it in the pool, diving down to the bottom of the pool. Sayla spitting out her snorkel like a professional, relaxing on the surface, doing some solid free diving. We didn't have her dive too much here, but Zai got in the water too. He loved it. We did have him snorkel, and they were looking at fish. Zai was a bit freaked out at first, but he was stoked by the end of it. He was talking about it all evening, and we were seeing big schools of these little fry, I guess they call them, little minnows. Fry, I think, is just a name for a small fish, so not a specific species, but you can see him there with his snorkeling mask full of water. He was loving life. So was I. So was Jasmine. Lakiba came with us to the beach on this day. That's Jasmine's mom. And it was just paradise. It really is paradise. Bermuda. I love Bermuda. And I'm very, very fortunate to have a place to stay when I visit here. And big shout out to my in-laws. They're amazing. Huge, huge shout out to them. Now be honest, are you getting sick of me snorkeling for sea glass yet? That was a tongue twister. I'm sure you are, and I don't blame you. But don't worry, I do this one with a bit of a twist. I saw this triggerfish. That one looked a lot different than the last one I filmed. I'm sure a different type of triggerfish. That thing's crazy looking. It was like translucent and glowing. I've seen some cool parrotfish, some good size ones. Parrotfish are off limits, and that's why you see so many here. They keep the corals clean by grazing on algae, so they're really important for the environment. But you'd wonder how many black grouper you'd see if those were protected in the same manner. You'd wonder how many other species you'd be seeing if they were all protected as well. Of course, we're living on an island where people need to fish to sustain themselves. So I'm not saying no fishing, obviously, but at the same time, you know, I wish I was seeing more diversity in terms of game fish. They might have just been deeper, I don't know, so I don't want to talk smack if I'm not up on the facts. But yeah, look at all the sea glass. That was awesome. That's funny. I was just thinking cinder blocks make good octopus habitat, and if I had an octopus in a cinder block, I'm allowed to harvest them here, so I'll see how big it is and maybe bring it home. Told you, a bit of a twist. Maybe this isn't the twist you were hoping for, but I am allowed to harvest octopus. I looked that up. There's no restrictions against it. As a non-resident, I can't spearfish, but I can hand harvest them. It's small, but I think it tastes good. If you watch my channel, you'll know that I don't buy seafood. I don't eat meat. I only eat seafood that I catch, or the odd exception if my family or parents or whatever make it for me, but I try to only eat what I catch, and I do a pretty good job at it. So octopus are very sustainable. They're of no concern on the conservation status. They live for about 4 years. I saw countless octopus traps when I was on the island, so I did not feel guilty about harvesting one. We're getting down there on a trip. We got 3 more days, including today. Today is our last full day with the yo-yo, so we're gonna take advantage and go to Elbow Beach. Apparently there's a really cool swim through, like a cathedral, big archway. I think that's the name of it, the archway. I don't really know the name of the dive spot, and I don't really care. I just know it's epic. And I'm gonna see some fish and go out there solo. As Jasmine hangs out on the shore, but I'm pumped. Every time I edit footage from Bermuda, I'm wondering why didn't I explore more? And then when I get to Bermuda, I'm by myself and I want to go out and driving on the roads without anyone in the vehicle. I like having Jasmine with me. It just gives me a bit of peace of mind. She helps me navigate, looking at the GPS and all that stuff while I'm driving. And then I get out to these places and I'm not really sure where to go or what I'm looking at. So I just feel more comfortable just going right off Pokeyoke. But this spot seemed way too amazing not to turn down, not to go experience for myself. This is called the Archway, and you can see why in this shot right here. But these are horse-eyed jack. They're some of the biggest fish that I've dove with in Bermuda. I've seen videos online of these schooling in the hundreds, if not thousands. I think I saw maybe 12 or 20 or so, give or take, at most 20, when I was at this spot. Still a really amazing experience for me, life-changing to a certain extent. And they're big. I don't think they're aggressive, but it was a bit creepy being out there by myself and having that school swim up to me. It's not what I'm used to, so before you call me a coward, if you're doing this stuff daily in Bermuda, diving solo, that's just not what I'm used to. So being out here without anybody, it is a bit different than having someone introduce you to this spot. The waves were up and I couldn't really scan the boat the horizon for boats. So I'm pretty conservative, and when I'm out here, I try to relax as much as I can, but it's hard to sometimes. This is a really cool shot. The horse-eye jack in the background, some Bermuda chub, and some parrotfish as well. Parrotfish are everywhere. This is probably my favorite shot of the day. They got curious. They were a bit timid. I say I'm a bit nervous, but I'm sure they're even more so. You know, they're living a much harder life than I am. Let's be real. I'm here by choice. This is their environment, and they have to worry about sharks and stuff as soon as they get offshore. I found those scuba divers. Oh yeah, some scuba divers helped me find the spot. They pointed it out to me when I was on shore. Ryan gave me some GPS coordinates, so thanks, Ryan. I was looking for the pollock shield wreck, and I couldn't find it. I did find this barracuda, and it was stalking me. I think they're territorial, I don't know, but everywhere I went, it would be behind me, and I'd chase it down, it would swim away, and then it would, again, be right behind me. There it is. Is it in this clip? Maybe not. Maybe in the next one. Yeah, there it is. There we go. There it is. It's the same one. It's following me everywhere. Barracuda are cool. I don't hear of many attacks, but yeah, they got sharp teeth, and I saw what they did to that bonita that we caught on the hook and line. So they're going fast and they're going hard, and they can take my finger off if they wanted to. The archway was awesome. That's probably one of my favorite shore dives I've done here in Bermuda. On a scale of 1 to 10 for Bermuda standards, I'm guessing it was probably like a 5. Visibility wasn't horrific, but it wasn't great. Really foggy. I think they're called horse-eye jacks. Seeing those swimming around, those are the biggest fish I've swam with here, besides a black grouper or two that I've seen out at Cooper Island. And the barracuda, those things are intense. They're cool. I like them. But they just mean mug from a distance, and you turn your eyes and they come and get a bit closer to you. You look back at them and they swim away and show their teeth. I think they're territorial, according to Jasmine there. And I didn't have any shiny jewelry on there. I don't think barracuda attacks are common, but they definitely have happened. Usually just mistaken identity. People cleaning fish with their hands in bloody water, and they got a ring on, and then a barracuda comes and smashes their hand. But yeah, I didn't have to worry about that. It's really fun. I looked for the pollock shield. I dove that wreck before. I went to the marker and there's nothing there. Don't know what's up with that. Yeah, it's been fun. We only got 3 days left. The trip's coming to an end, which sucks, but I'm excited to get back into the Pacific Northwest to have my home territory again. Last day of the trip. Well, minus the flying day, but last day I filmed content and I went diving. I also went spearfishing. It was a good time. Getting some of those today, right?
Like a bunch of them. Yeah. A little warm though, so maybe not.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I met up with David again. He brought me out on his boat, and he was showing some locals the ropes. I think he had some friends visiting from Colorado or Wisconsin or something like that, some Americans. One of the two he works with, I believe, and the other were family friends. So we showed them the ropes, brought them out diving and spearfishing. It was their first time out, so that was pretty neat. We were hunting lionfish, and we were also looking for a grouper or whatever else was harvestable in the area. And the first spot we went out to, ironically, ended up being that second to last wreck that I dove with Ryan the day or two previous, or a week previous. My time's all screwed up, one of the previous days. But you can see David diving down here. Kudos to him. I find diving with both my fins a challenge some days. He kills it with the one, so yeah, very inspirational to see him in the water. Kudos for always being in good spirits and always keen to dive, David. You've become a really good friend of mine, and thanks for always thinking about me when I'm here and always making my trips to Bermuda as fun as possible. He saw a eel, like a giant eel, moray eel, swimming around with a fish in its mouth. It was a 5-footer. I was trying to locate it and I couldn't. That would have been really cool to see one out of its den swimming around. I did though, just before we came out of the water, I did see a lionfish. So that was a positive. And I called David over and he went down and I filmed him spear it. You killed that thing, stoned that thing, so good work, David. You kill one of these, you take one out, and you're saving countless little reef fishies. These are invasive, they're not supposed to be in the waters here, and they wreak havoc on the environments all throughout the Caribbean, which is very, very depressing. One fish on the boat. Lionfish, yeah.
I don't know where I'm going.
Hogfish?
Hogfish, grouper.
Yeah.
A lot on the deck, we're good.
No doubt, no doubt. After that, we left the wreck there. You're not allowed to spearfish on a wreck. I should clarify, you are allowed to spearfish lionfish because they're invasive. You can't spearfish with a gun in Bermuda. It has to be a pole spear. You can't spearfish on scuba unless it is for lionfish. That right there is another red hind. It was a good size one. I ended up finding it and showing it to David, and he saw me point at one, but it was actually a smaller one right beside it that he thought I was pointing at, so there's a bit of confusion there. But we ended up finding it again, and it was a good size. The downside was we couldn't fit the pole spear and get a good angle, a good shot. It was being very sneaky, so that one got the best of us. We moved along to another spot. We set anchor and we kept exploring. I was looking in cracks for lionfish, and I found this lobster, which were out of season. But when I'm back in Christmas, assuming I'm back here in Christmas, we're gonna look for lobster. If he gets a license, they're being very tough on lobster licenses because they've been raped and pillaged, and there's hardly any left, which is also pretty sad, but that's the way she goes. That right there is a porcupine fish. It was the only one I saw on this trip. I usually see them a bunch. These things are so cool. They're like the cutest fish in the world. That and like some of the local species like the spiny lump suckers. Yeah, we called it a day. We cruised back. Thanks again, David. Really good time, and thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments. Peace and love. There you go.
That's how you get poked.
Nice looking fish though, man.
Yeah, they're pretty, aren't they?
Yeah.
Very pretty. Let's see here. There you go, his little mohawk.